error of the Constitution. So then it means that every lawyer would then wake up and say that, look, I don't want to go to the High Court. I don't want to go to a court of appeal. I'm invoking the original jurisdiction because this is a fundamental human rights issue. And so I'm going. That borders on absurdity. And that is what our Supreme Court, led by the Chief Justice, some members of the Supreme Court, are lending themselves to such legal absurdity. Because you see, it is legally absurd that our Supreme Court, our Chief Justice, would allow herself to be used in such a manner to bring the Supreme Court to a place where the Supreme Court is standing in direct conflict when it comes to original jurisdiction on matters of fundamental human rights and a determination of membership or vacancy of same that is explicitly spelled out in the Constitution as the prerogative of the High Court. In fact, it goes ahead to say that when there is an issue that borders on interpretation in the High Court, the case in the High Court will be stayed for that interpretation to go to the Supreme Court and come back to the High Court. Yes. Now, what you are seeing is a Supreme Court under the current Chief Justice that is overly overstepping its boundaries. First and foremost, seeking to get into the matters of Parliament, which is a closed book. And I expect, Mr. Speaker,
it does not happen now. I mean, that is.
I expect, Mr. Speaker,
they address that matter.
I am expecting, Mr. Speaker. I'm expecting, Mr. Speaker.
Read Article 125.
It
has nullified that closed book argument.
I have respect. I have respect for our viewers. I'm not going to be doing this with echo. No.
Senior, I agree. Senior, let me see to you. It's fine. Go ahead.
Good. Thank you. Listen, the Chief Justice is overstepping her powers and is bordering on abuse of her powers under Article 296. She's being arbitrary and capricious and malicious in the use of her powers, usurping the powers of her own lower courts, the High Courts, and then seeking to tell Parliament what to do. And that's why I have said that if the Chief Justice thinks she's so vested with so much power, she should come and sit in Parliament, convene Parliament, and go ahead and conduct government business for them. But you see, the Chief Justice must know, like the Speaker said, that we do not respect the supremacy of the Supreme Court. We respect the supremacy of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has no supremacy over the Parliament of Ghana. And you see, it pains me that members of Parliament are complicit in this rape of the powers of Parliament, because today it serves their partisan parochial whims and caprices. And that members of Parliament, Echo, you know, and Afenyo knows, that look, to challenge a ruling or directive of Mr. Speaker, our standing orders give you a fantastic opportunity to come under a substantive motion. So today, you are telling me that every time any member is unhappy with a ruling of the Speaker,
which ruling
we will go away from our standing orders and run to our godmother sitting at the Supreme Court to give a ruling and say, look, then the Supreme Court should be ready to cite all members of Parliament on the majority NDC side for contempt. You must be ready to cite 136 of us for contempt and cite Mr. Speaker for contempt. But let me serve notice already that I have summoned the head of the Association of Magistrates and Judges. What's his name again? He's one of the new judges that was approved recently by Parliament. You
summoned him for what?
I've cited him for contempt of Parliament because he held a press conference and told a blatant lie, unbecoming, that a member of Parliament, because he didn't mention my name, he says a member of Parliament led a mob to the Supreme Court seeking to invade the Supreme Court and heave invectives. He must come before Parliament, our Privileges Committee, and establish for us which member of Parliament carried out such action. Because I led a group of clergymen to the Supreme Court to demand action of the Chief Justice, who has been sleeping on the LGBTQ case. The Chief Justice has become a cog in the wheel of justice. The same Chief Justice, a matter involving Parliament and the usurpation of the powers of Parliament under Article 106. The Chief Justice has now become a cog in the wheel of justice, standing against the wheels of justice grinding, and is playing ball to help the president evade service. I mean, look, it is a shame, it's an aberration, and like Justice Amadou Tanko stated, I hope that in the nearest future, a properly constituted Supreme Court would vacate this ruling, which is a stain on Ghana's legal jurisprudence. Look, any judge worth his salt or any law student anywhere in the world who picks this majority ruling would have a good laugh at the Supreme Court of Ghana. And it's a shame that such a court that has such distinguished personality, and that's the point, in 1 minute, that's the point, that's 10 seconds, that's the point Martin was making, that you've got fantastic lawyers, Justice Pwamang, Justice Bafo-Boni, Yoni Kolendi. There's a reason why such reasoned and detailed and seasoned legal minds were kept away from this. So they will not, look, for any consideration, bring themselves down to this unfortunate ruling.
When Sam says that the Supreme Court was silent